Hey players, welcome to another live stream here on my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Josh. Every single week I make videos sharing tips, ideas, and stories teaching you how to be your best self. And in this live stream, I'm going to be walking you through different things that you can do to get over your social anxiety fast whenever you're in a social situation. I know what it's like to struggle with that, to deal with nervousness and anxiety and to freeze up and to just get all jittery because you don't know how to talk to someone or you don't know what to say, and you end up kind of walking away feeling embarrassed or ashamed of yourself because you felt like you could have handled the situation better. In this live stream, I'm going to walk you through different things you can do to prepare yourself for those moments so that you won't be as nervous, you won't be as shy, and you'll be able to feel more comfortable and confident just being yourself. But before I get into that, I do want to say, for those of you that are new here, my name is Josh. Every single week, I make videos sharing tips, ideas, and stories teaching you how to be your best self. So if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, and you can also hit the join button if you want to become a member of this channel. Now, before I get into my points here, I do want to say hi to all the early birds here in the chat. These are the people that are here from the get-go. So if you're someone here watching the live stream, you're someone here that's on right now, jump into the chat, say hey, and I'll give you your due shout out. I love to shout you guys out to kind of acknowledge you guys and what you're dealing with. And look, these live streams are super interactive. So if you have something to say, if you have a story to share, if you see someone talking about something and you want to give feedback, do it, because this community is all about helping each other learn and grow. So the more you can interact with others, the better I think we can all end up working towards being our best selves. So let's give shout outs to all the early birds in here. Grayson, the Goosebump Kid, good to see you in here. Little Pepe is in here. Typhoon, Atlanta Boy, Phoenix. Emma Peterson was the first person on here. Emma, that's your shout out right there. Renata's in here. Toxic Gumball. Dono the Gamer. Dono says, bro, Atlanta Boy joined the Discord. I know, right? Join the Discord already. Christians, Miskevix is in here as well. Elijah's in here. Phoenix, Rokas, let's see, Jeremiah Crow, Davis Richardson, Terrence Shee, SoFly, Nigel Williams, Jahan Cabrazang, Toxic Gumball, Owlge with the J there. G Delgado, Yancey's in here. Willow Grace Light, Yelsha is trash. Michael Jackson videos. Ariane. Greek Soldiers, Terrence. What is up, everyone? I'm so happy to have you guys in here. I think it's going to be a good live stream. I think it's going to be a really fun one. Jamie Kennedy is in here. What is up, everyone? So, let's first talk a little bit about what social anxiety is. Some of you already know what it is. Some of you may have an idea, but you may not know exactly how social anxiety plays out. So, when you have social anxiety, it's a form of regular anxiety, normal anxiety disorder. And what anxiety disorder is essentially having a sense of discomfort in a situation that you're in or in a moment, or sometimes just even thinking about something that may happen or that has happened or that is happening in that moment. It's a sense of discomfort that kind of plays out in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it can cause you to kind of become incredibly nervous. You may become very awkward or scared or shy in those moments. You may get very jittery. Maybe your hands start to shake. Maybe you start to sweat a lot. Maybe you start to think a lot of negative thoughts. Things just start rushing into your mind, questions that you don't really know the answers for. Anxiety affects a lot of people in lots of different ways. And when we talk about social anxiety, it's the idea of interacting with other people or being in a setting or an environment where you're going to have some type of interaction with other people. Now, one of the challenges a lot of people that have social anxiety run into is just the simple fact that, where you are in your life, most likely you're going to have to interact with other people, whether it's in school or work or no matter what. There's always people around. There's always things that have to be done, and chances are you're going to have to interact with them in some way. So what most people who experience social anxiety tend to do is kind of retreat, try to limit their interactions. They become a little bit more introverted because there's maybe an uncertainty of how someone else is going to react to them or what they're going to say. Or maybe it's a fear and doubt in yourself that you're not going to handle the situation how you would want to handle the situation. So anxiety plays out in lots of different ways. I want to do a quick chat poll here, question here, guys. How many of you guys have ever experienced social anxiety before? As we're kind of talking about it, I want to know where you guys stand. How many of you kind of had moments where you felt social anxiety and you felt anxious around people or nervous in talking to people? That could be in making friends. That could be in talking to your crush. That could be being around family members you don't really know. That could be having to talk to a stranger. Social anxiety takes so many different forms. I want to know where you guys stand. Have you ever experienced social anxiety? Either this one, yes or no? Let me know here in the chat poll. I'm going to jump in and see what some of you guys are saying. Ariane is saying Donna doing ads for Discord. It's really worth it though. Yeah, right? Like Discord's what's up. Elijah says, what's your Discord? Elijah, someone else share the link. And if not, it's in the description of the video. Let's see. Zach Gaming says, hi, I've been getting bullied at school and wanted to get some help. Also, I follow your vids and they help a lot. Awesome, Zach. So thank you for following my vids and stuff. I do want to I'll talk a little bit about bullying and how to deal with that in a second here, but let me just jump in and see what some of you guys are saying. So I asked you guys, have you ever dealt with anxiety and social anxiety before? Yancey says yes. Davis says yes. Jamie Kennedy says yes. And Lynn Boy says, I'll do that then. Oh, he's talking about something else. Let's see. Typhoon says yes, definitely. Eden says yes. Cheesy Boys, no, I'm lucky that I don't, to be honest. Awesome, Cheesy Boy. That's good to hear. Ariane says yes. Jamie Kennedy, yes again. Yelsha says yes, I have anxiety. Dark Tar says social anxiety, yes. Dono says yes. Owl says yes. G Delgado says yes. Emmanuel says, I've experienced it a couple times, but now I'm more confident. Let's see. Yes. I'm seeing yeses all across the board. Maybe one or two no's dispersed in there, guys. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Social anxiety affects way more people than we give it credit for, right? Like we think that, we tend to live our lives thinking most people have things figured out. Most people know how to handle situations. Oh, look at everyone else talking. It's so smooth and so easy for them. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of times people are nervous and anxious in moments, but maybe they don't show it, or they kind of keep it to themselves, or it's a little bit more well hidden than maybe it is for you. So I think a lot of times it's important to remember that if you're experiencing those feelings of social anxiety, you don't have to go through it alone. And it's important for you to know that other people are also experiencing too. So you're not alone in that experience. Other people can probably relate if you were to talk about what you were going through. And I think in most cases, people might even say, hey, yeah, I've been in that situation too. So you're not alone in experiencing that. I want to walk you through 3 points here that I've outlined, things that I think that could be super helpful. But I want to get back to that point on bullying. If there's kids that are bullying you in class, I think ultimately something you can do about that is this. I'm not a big fan or big advocate for fighting, right? Or like violence, the way I see it, because I see fighting as more of a self-defense tool, and it should kind of be last resort. The last thing you want is to be in a situation where you could potentially get physically hurt, right? So knowing how to defend yourself is important, but it should always kind of be a last resort. If kids are bullying you, a lot of times bullies kind of fall into the psychological game where they know that by saying something that you're going to react in a negative way. They know that by calling you a name, they know that by making fun of you, by teasing you, that you're going to get upset. And it's when you get upset that they start to feel like they win. They start to feel like, oh yeah, I got him. So if you never allow them to get that satisfaction, that feeling, then they're eventually going to get bored. They're going to realize that it's not working, the things that they're saying, the things that they're doing. So the question is, how do you get them to kind of fall into that bored phase? Well, I think part of it is that whenever they say something, lean into it, but in a humorous way. So if a bully calls you a name and says, oh, you're a loser, you have no friends, let's say something like that, you might look at them and go, yeah, I guess that's true. You know where I can get some friends? I don't see any friends around. You know where I can make some friends? And just lean into it. So they may say something again, and you just lean into that more. And the more you do that, the more they're going to realize, oh, he's not actually getting hurt by the things I'm saying. He's actually kind of just rolling off his back. And the bully's going to realize that their tactics are not working. So that's one technique, I think, for dealing with bullies there. And like I said, if it does get to a physical level, the best thing is to know how to defend yourself. So you may want to think about taking a, MMA class, learning how to do jiu-jitsu, learning how to strike, how to box, how to kickbox, any of those different things so you can defend yourself if that's what it comes to. But a lot of times bullying kind of starts and stays at the psychological phase. So if you can win that psychological battle, you can win the war. Okay, so I want to move into the first point here. Guys, because I do have a lot to break down within this point here. And, when I talk about getting getting past your social anxiety and learning to work through it, I think it's important to slowly introduce yourself to uncertain situations. Now, yes, we're talking about how to get past social anxiety fast, but the first part of that is to slowly introduce yourself to uncertain situations. And the way that you keep really doing that is by allowing yourself to kind of explore and experience new things little by little, right? The idea of going to a party with lots and lots of people you don't know might be scary, but saying hi to someone in your class may not be as scary. So that may be the first thing you want to do to try to take a little bit more control over a situation where you feel like you can handle it, right? Because a lot of times when people are anxious, it's because there's a lot of uncertainty built into it. There's a lot of uncertainty built into the communication. What is that person going to say? How are they going to react? Am I going to know what to say? Is it going to be a fun conversation? Is it going to be awkward? Is it going to be weird? So if you can kind of start to ease into those situations, it'll then start to, you'll start to see that little by little, you'll become more and more comfortable. Now, one thing I highly, highly recommend is this. If you're someone that feels like you chronically have social anxiety, meaning that it affects you daily, right? Sometimes you can't get out of bed because you're so nervous and worried about going to school or interacting with people. It is a chronic and hard thing that you're dealing with. I would recommend the best thing to do is to talk to a therapist, right? Look for a therapist in your area. Talk to the therapist that's at your school, the school counselor that's at your school. Tell your parents that it's something that you want to work on and work through, because the therapist will kind of walk you through what is it that's scary about those interactions, and they'll help you find a kind of a strategy for your personal situation on how to work through that. I want to jump in and see what some of you guys are saying here in the chat here. Let's see. Grayson says, hey, Josh, so I have a crush who lives a couple blocks down the street, but I don't know if she's dating someone or not. What should I do? Grayson, that's a really good question. I have tons and tons of videos on talking to a crush that lives near you. You should definitely check it out. I have a bunch of playlists on that too. That should be helpful for you. Terrence says, I have a social anxiety box that I out my stuff in that makes me calm down. Interesting. So Terrence, can you elaborate a little bit more on that? I'd love to see, I'd love to hear kind of more about what your process is with that. Phoenix said, hey, Josh, or the chat, I've been dealing with some really rough stuff. It hit a peak today, and I cut myself for the first time. I don't want to do it again, but I felt better afterwards. I need help right now. Phoenix, my heart goes out to you, man. I know how tough it must be. You know, a lot of times when we're dealing with struggles and we're in a situation where we feel like we're in over our head or just things are too overwhelming, I think one of the best things we can do is to talk about it, to talk about how we're feeling and to share that with someone. So I want to say thank you so much, Phoenix, for sharing and here. You know, we have an awesome community that's here to listen and help you out. We all want to help each other learn and grow. I think that's the key, right? Having a good, strong group that cares about each other. But Phoenix, I think that if it's at a point where you might be causing harm to yourself or you are causing harm to yourself, I would highly, highly recommend talking to a therapist. I think going to your school counselor and just having someone there that you can process what you're going through with is going to allow you to kind of understand where those feelings are coming from, right? Because a lot of times when we're anxious or nervous or we do something like self-harm, the feelings are buried deep down, right? Maybe there's a surface level of like, I just couldn't take it anymore. But, you know, that feeling of being overwhelmed might be caused by family life, might be caused by school stress, might be caused by rejection, might be caused by isolation. There's a lot of different factors that can lead us to feel that way. And it's hard sometimes to just sit and say, well, this is the reason. So it's important to talk through our feelings with other people so that we can kind of break it down and get a better understanding of who we are and why we feel that way. But when I really kind of talk a lot about this idea of moving more, Atlanta Boy says at 5:24 we should have a moment of silence for Kobe. Atlanta Boy, I'm on board with that. That sounds like a good idea. You know, when we really talk about kind of moving into a new situation, some of the fears with that. So let's take a situation of like you get social anxiety whenever it comes to wanting to talk to someone that you like, right? You freeze up, you don't know what to say, your skin gets all clammy. A lot of things can happen, right? One technique that I've learned over the years is this. It's that sometimes try to think through what the process will be like if you were in that situation. So here's how I would say that would work. First, ask yourself the question, you know, if I were to, you know, approach the situation, if I were to go to talk to that crush, what's the likelihood of the worst possible thing happening? Well, what is the worst possible thing that can happen, right? Like, what's the worst possible thing that can happen if you walk up to your crush and you go to say hi to them, you go to start a conversation? The worst possible thing I could probably think of is what? They laugh at you, they make fun of you, they kind of walk away, they hit you, right? Let's say any of these kind of situations. Now, those are all the worst possible situations. Now, ask yourself realistically, what do you think is most likely to happen, right? If you walk up to your crush and say hi and they don't know who you are, most likely they'll kind of say hi back and maybe walk away. So that situation of kind of getting rejected there, or having someone turn you down, or someone not wanting to talk to you, is a scary one and it's a hard one, but it's not completely self-defeating, because if you were to kind of get rejected there, if you were to kind of get turned down, one, you should know that you should be proud of yourself for pursuing and going after the person and talking to them. That's always a key piece that we forget whenever it comes to challenging ourselves and trying something new. We forget that it's courageous to do something new. So if you're putting yourself in a situation where you are doing something new, that's a courageous step forward. That's awesome. That's something you pat yourself on the back for. But if you run into a situation where you run into failure and things don't work out, well, then I think in that situation, the best thing for you to do is to kind of go back to the drawing board, reevaluate. Tell yourself, okay, what can I do differently next time? That's an important question to also ask yourself that, a lot of people tend to overlook. So if anxiety is kind of preventing you from doing something, I think outlining what is it that I want to do, how can I go about doing it, what's the worst possible situation that can happen, what's realistically going to happen, and if it gets to that point, how can I manage it, is going to allow you to start to take those small steps forward in kind of working towards those new and uncertain situations. Now, another technique I've learned over the years is this. It's that ask yourself this too. If a friend were to come up to you, if one of your friends were to come up to you and tell you, hey, I'm really nervous about the idea of walking up to talk to my crush, what advice would you give them? In fact, I want to ask you guys here, we'll do not so much a chat poll, but just more of a chat question. I got to come up with a chat question button rather than just chat poll. But just a question for you guys. If your friend came up to you and told you, hey, I'm too nervous to go talk to this person, or I'm too nervous to go start a conversation with those people over there, what advice would you give them? What would you tell them? If the role was reversed and you were the one giving advice to someone, what exactly would you tell them? I'm curious to know what you guys would think. I'm going to jump in and see what some of you guys are saying here in the chat here. Let's see. Roka says, I really do agree that close friend support will help you get through anxiety and other harmful feelings or thoughts, especially when you have someone to hear you and to understand you well. Absolutely, Rokas. We underestimate sometimes the power of having someone that can listen to us and can hear us. It's so important sometimes, because sometimes we have feelings and they just kind of are running through our heads and we have no outlet for them. And it's only when you have an outlet, when you are able to verbalize your feelings and say, this is how I'm feeling, that they become real. They become tangible. They become things you can actually act on. So I think having someone you can share that with, and then maybe they can give you advice, or they could just be there to listen, is going to allow you to act on those feelings. Cheesy Boy says, hey Josh, after exams, I'm going to be doing a lot of editing, things related to esports, and I'm also going to be gigging with my band. Any tips on how to manage your time? Yeah, Cheesy Boy, I think that the best thing you can do is to come up with a structure and a schedule for yourself. So if you're going to have a lot of different tasks on your plate, there's going to be a point where you're going to have to say no to a bunch of different things. That might mean, hey, no to hanging out with friends this day. Hey, that might mean no to band practice today because I have to study. That might mean no to, wanting to watch TV or play video games. You need to kind of become more structured when you have goals in mind and things you want to accomplish. And you need to kind of just set up your day and say, hey, I wake up at this time, I'm doing this from this time to this time, and I have a free period here. That's my free period where I'm going to do this other thing. So get more structured, get more organized. That's going to be the best way there. But I'm curious to know, I asked you guys here, if a friend had come up to you and told you that they were nervous or anxious, or they were dealing with social anxiety, what advice would you give them back? What would you say to them to kind of handle those situations? I think when we're able to kind of flip the script like that and think about it, well, if someone came to us and we saw that our problem from the outside, how would I advise them to handle it? Sometimes allows us to kind of figure out solutions for ourselves. Okay, I'm going to jump in and see what some of you guys are saying here. All right, James says, Josh, how can I help anxiety about school assemblies? That's a good question, James. I think that when you're in a school assembly, you're around a lot of people, there's a lot of commotion going on. If you start to feel anxious in those moments, you start to feel anxious whenever there's a lot of people around, that's going to kind of lead to my second tip here, which I think is going to be helpful for you here. So I'm going to jump into that second tip here, actually. And I believe that's to practice mindfulness in the anxious moments. So, James, I think that when you're at a school assembly and you're starting to get those feelings of anxiety creeping up from the bottom there, they start to make themselves present for you, the best thing you can do is to practice mindfulness. Now, what does that mean to practice mindfulness? Well, there's a lot of different ways to practice mindfulness, but one way that I have found to be one of the most helpful ways to practice mindfulness is to work on your breathing, to work on allowing oxygen to come in and to come out to kind of calm your disruptive and anxious state of mind and state of being, right? Your heart starts beating, you start to sweat, you start to think about a million things. But if you can stop for a second, wherever you are, if you're standing there in line at the assembly, if you're just kind of waiting around a lot of people, and just close your eyes for a second, take a deep breath in, and then let it out. And you focus on that breath as it goes in and out, and you just concentrate on it. You feel the oxygen entering your body. You feel your lungs expand, your body kind of like rise up. And you let it out. You feel it kind of let out while your shoulders kind of slump down a little bit. You kind of relax with it. The more you can kind of practice those breathing exercises, the easier it's going to be to take your mind off of the external things that are making you anxious and kind of bring you back to the present moment. Because a lot of times when we are anxious, when our minds, scatterbrain and we're thinking about a million things in those moments, we're not being present. We're not thinking about ourselves. We're thinking about everything else besides ourselves. So if you can kind of return back to the present moment with your breathing, I think that's going to help you kind of recalibrate the stress and anxiety that you might be experiencing then and there. Go through and see what some more of you guys are saying. Jalen says, hi Josh, is it appropriate to give my crush a Valentine's Day card, even if it's a friendly gift, if she has a boyfriend? And sorry for bothering you about this. No problem at all. It's not a bother at all, Jalen. I've done tons and tons of videos about how to handle your crush having a boyfriend or girlfriend. Ultimately, I think that if you're going to give her a Valentine's Day card, the problem with that is that because she has a boyfriend, it's going to be interpreted in only one way, right? That you're doing it in a romantic sense. Now, if you're giving Valentine's Day card to a lot of different people and that's known and your crush sees that, then okay, then you're just giving it out to everyone that you know. But if you're specifically giving it to them, you might run into issues with the boyfriend. The boyfriend might not appreciate that. She might feel weird because she's going to have to explain it to her boyfriend too. It might not be the best thing to do. I know that you really want to do it, Jalen, but it might not be the best thing to do. Anthony's saying the infamous 3-second rule. It works, man. All right. Phoenix says, thanks a ton, Josh. I haven't told my girlfriend yet. I needed some help before I dropped this bomb on her. I'll try to talk about it more. Much love, Josh. Thank you so much for being open and honest here, Phoenix. Yeah, I mean, she's someone definitely you should talk to about it. But here's the thing too. I think it's also important that if it's at a stage where you're harming yourself, you got to think about it like this. It's like when you're at a point where you're harming yourself, ultimately, that's not what you want. You don't want to harm yourself. What you want is maybe a release from the pain or a release from the stress or a release from whatever you're dealing with. And it takes the form of harming yourself. But the truth of the matter is that, you're only going to kind of work through that. You're only going to process that if you're able to kind of, I would say, probably sit down with someone and really work through what the challenges you're facing are. Because trying to just kind of ignore it or move on from it and say, oh, I'm not going to do it again, isn't really addressing it, isn't really taking care of the underlying issue. And the underlying issue is to some degree that you're suffering and that you're struggling. And that's not something that should be ignored because you're worth it. You matter. You bring value to this world. And if you're someone that's struggling, it's like you're not someone that should be overlooked. And the best way to kind of make sure you're not overlooked is to find the right kind of person that can help you through that. I'm going to jump to read some more, you guys, questions here. I do want to say this though, guys. As we talk more and more about social anxiety, feeling nervous, feeling anxious, missing opportunities, things like that, that's something that I talk a lot about in my book, Embracing the Awkward, which most of you guys know I have. But for those of you that don't, I wrote a book for teens and young adults called Embracing the Awkward. It's a guide for teens to succeed at what I believe are some of the most important parts of your life, school, life, and your relationships. And in that book, I talk a lot about my own story and my own experiences, the challenges I ran into, times I was anxious and nervous and held myself back from going after things I wanted or doing things that I wanted, and kind of what my process was like working through and understanding my own anxiety and my own struggles. And that's something I really outline in the book. I kind of walk through a lot of different things that you can do to kind of improve the quality of your life, I think, just by being more present, being more present-minded, being more aware. That's something I really, really dive deep in the book about. So you should definitely check it out if you haven't already. Embracing the Awkward, it's available on Amazon, paperback, ebook. I'll have an audiobook at some point, but you can also go to thejoshspeaks.com/awkward or just type it up on Amazon. It'll pop up there. Okay, so jumping back into it, guys. Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. Clicking on all the wrong things. All right, here we go. So back into it. So I want to jump back in. I'm going to jump back in and answer some more things from the chat here. But going back to the point I mentioned here, it's like the power of mindfulness, guys, of being present-minded is going to allow you to kind of be more present and grounded in any situation you're in. Let's say you are at a college party, right? Let's say you're at a party or any kind of party, and there's a lot of people around and you want to talk to them, you want to interact with them, but you're nervous. You feel like you're going to mess it up. You're not going to know what to do. Well, the more I think you can kind of practice this, and even before you get to the party, you can practice this at home. You can practice this when you're walking home from school. You can practice this when you're sitting and waiting for dinner. You can practice it right before you go to bed or even when you wake up. There's never a wrong time to practice mindfulness. Oh man, I forgot the moment of silence for Kobe, guys. I'm so sorry about that. Tell you what, at the end of this stream, we will ring the bell in honor of Kobe. We'll do that. I apologize for missing the 24. I kept looking at it, but then I just totally trailed off. But practicing that level of mindfulness and awareness is going to allow you to kind of be present in the moment. So with the example I was saying, let's say you're somewhere in a party, right? And you are just sitting in the corner by yourself because it's just too scary to walk up to someone and talk to them. In that moment, you might want to kind of close your eyes, come back to your breathing. Or you may want to practice. There's lots of different ways to meditate and be mindful. One might be kind of sound meditation where you just kind of close your eyes and you just pay attention to the sounds around you. Listen to the different voices of the people talking. Maybe zone in on one specific voice and try to listen to that voice. Or maybe there's music playing. Try to listen to that music. Zone in on and really be present-minded on what's going on around you. I think if you're able to do that, when you kind of open your eyes and you kind of move forward now, you're going to come from a more calmer place rather than before where you were anxious and you wanted to do something. Now you're calm and you want to do it. And I think when you're calm going into a situation, it makes it a lot easier to kind of manage that situation. All right, let's jump through and see what some more you guys are saying here. Okay. Eden's edit says, Josh, I'm going to a date to the movies tomorrow with a girl I've been talking to through Snapchat and I'm nervous. What would be some tips that you would give me in a situation? Okay, so you're going on a date to the movies with the girl you've been talking through Snapchat. So I made a video all about going to the movies on a date. I think that it could be a great date because either before the movies or after movies, you guys can get food, you can talk, you can hang out, learn about each other. The good thing about going to the movies... The good thing about going to the movies with someone is that you have a conversation topic. You have something specific to talk to them about now, right? You could talk about that movie. You could talk about other movies that you like. You could talk about what you liked about the movie you watched, what you hated about it. You know, I wouldn't recommend talking during the movie, but you're preparing a conversation to be had, right? You watch this movie and now you guys can talk about what you liked, what you disliked. You know, who the actors, the plot, all the different things kind of come about. So I think that if you're trying to get over the nervousness or that anxiety you may be feeling when it comes to talking to that girl that you've been talking on Snapchat, what I would recommend is this. the moment you see her, the best way to kind of ease into kind of normalcy around her is to treat it like you two have known each other for the longest time. So when you see her, try not to be like, hey, how's it going? I would say jump right into as if you guys have known each other forever and be like, oh, hey, it's so good to see you. I'm so excited for this. What about you? Are you excited? Be highly energized and enthusiastic. And she's going to pick up on that. She's going to kind of acknowledge that energy coming from you, and she's going to play it back with you, because people pick up on each other's rapport, right? If you come in and you're nervous and you're shy, well, then she's going to be shy as well. And now both of you guys are going to be shy, waiting for the other person to kind of step in and kind of set the tone for that conversation. So you have the power to kind of initially create that. And the best way to create that is to jump right into the conversation about the movie and how excited you are about it. I think that's going to be the best way to kind of ease in and get her feeling, like, hey, this is someone I can actually talk to. So if you haven't already, I do want to say, hit the thumbs up on this video, guys. I appreciate all of you for being a part of this live stream and for being a part of the chat. I got to fix this chat thing going on here. Maybe I'll replace it with something else. But I love doing these live streams. I love talking to you guys, and I love having you guys as part of the community. What I do want to say is this. After this live stream, I'm going to be heading over to Instagram for what I call the Instagram after party. So what's that? Well, the Instagram after party basically is I jump on live on Instagram. I bring you guys on to video chat with me. It's a lot of fun. It's very laid back. It's a cool thing, right? It's the after party after these live streams. So it's just a lot of fun. We have a good time there. So make sure to follow me over on Instagram. I'm going to be going live right after. And I'd love to see you guys over there. Now, another thing that I want to share that Anthony shared and Donna was talking a lot about is our Discord, guys. This is our online community. This is where we all kind of congregate. We share memes, we talk, we joke, we have conversations, we share our own stories. It's just a great place, I think, that, to kind of make friends, to kind of talk to people about what you're going through, and to kind of just be there to help other people as well. Because one thing I've really learned about growing as an individual is that you grow more, you grow faster, you grow stronger when you find yourself in a place where you're trying to help others grow as well, right? The rising tide brings all ships up. So the more that you kind of work towards kind of your own growth and your own version of your best self, by helping others get there too, you're going to kind of realize it's going to be easier for you to make that journey and kind of reach that path. Ice Wallow Comb says, let me get a shout out, please. Okay, I will give you a shout out, Ice Wallow Comb. You're going to get a shout out, Ice Wallow Comb. What should I say for your shout out? Ice Wallow Comb. I'm not sure, but when I think of what I want to shout you out for, Ice Wallow Comb, I'll shout you out, Ice Wallow Comb. Okay. So join the Discord, guys. It's an awesome place. I'd love to have you guys on there. It's just a lot of fun. You guys will have fun there too. Okay, let's get back into some more questions before I get into the third point here that I want to mention. But as we talk more about social anxiety here, I want to do another chat poll question. I want to ask you guys this. Where do you guys find that you run into situations where you have social anxiety the most? Like, who is the person you're trying to, or what are the situations where you're trying to talk to someone that you run into it? Is it in school? Is it when you're trying to talk to a new group of friends? Is it around your crush? Who do you experience social anxiety around the most? I'd love to get your guys' answers in the chat. I want to know what you guys have to say. I'm going to jump in and see what some more you guys are saying here. Sam Leach says, hey Josh, I went on a date last week and went extremely well, but now I've been ghosted. I'm not super bitter and I'm over it, but I'm very confused. Yeah, I hear you on that, Sam. Sometimes, look, you go on a date with someone, you think things are going well, and they kind of just change their mind. They have time to process and think about the date, and they realize it wasn't for them. It's a sucky experience to go through, to be on the receiving end of that, but sometimes it's important to realize that not everyone is going to give you a reason for why they do what they do, right? Sometimes you're going to be left in the dust. You're going to be left questioning and wondering why. Sorry. And I think the biggest life lesson we could take away from that is that we're not owed anything, right? We can try, we can talk to people, we can ask, but we're not owed anything. And the moment we can realize, hey, listen, they're making a decision for themselves. It sucks for me, but it's something I can get past. It's going to make it that much easier for you to kind of manage it. All right, so I asked you guys, where and who do you experience social anxiety around? Where is it you experience the most? Let's see what some of you guys had to say. Jamie Kennedy says, when I'm trying to talk to my crush. Christians Miskovics says, definitely around my crush. Cheesy Boy says, definitely my crush when we meet every so often. Emma says, coworkers. VA Aesthetic, or just Aesthetic X, maybe the V's are silent. School, when I'm talking to my crush and some random guys come to talk to her in the middle of our conversation. I hear you on that. Noah says, my crush mainly. It stops me from talking to her. Nija says, my crush. Atlanta Boy says, I feel my face get red when I see my crush and it's embarrassing. Anthony says, sometimes it's best to not know the reason. Yep, sometimes it is best to not know the reason, Anthony. Good point. Jamie Kennedy says, when I try to talk to my crush. Sam says, around attractive girls. Erebus says, my social anxiety kicks into overdrive when talking to new people. It's gotten better with practice, but it still feels overwhelming at times. Yeah, I hear you on that, man. And Jamie Kennedy says, yeah, talking to new people. Yeah. So, it seems like a lot of you guys feel social anxiety around your crush, right? That seems to be kind of a staple. A lot of times it's also around other people or in social situations where you just have to interact with others. So looking at that first point, like I said, if we take the crush scenario, what would it look like for you? What would it look like to ease into being around your crush more? Like, I want you guys to think about that right now for a second. Would that be you telling yourself, you know what? I'm going to say hi to them every single day. And that's going to be my ease into kind of getting over the anxiety. I'm not going to aim for a long conversation. I'm not even going to aim for asking them out. I'm just going to aim for getting comfortable with saying hi. Maybe you're past that point. Maybe you feel like, I talk to them regularly. I just get nervous around them. Well, maybe then you want to think about, how can I ease into an actual conversation? Well, let me tell myself, what is something I want to learn about them? Maybe I want to learn what their favorite movies are. I want to learn what their favorite food is. I want to learn about their family life. I want to learn what their hobbies are. I want to learn what type of music they listen to. Think about what you want to learn about your crush and then start to ease into those type of questions, because that's going to help you kind of work through that anxiety as you have a focus as to what you're trying to attain. Now, and going to that second point too that I mentioned, let's talk about when you're in that moment and you feel nervous, what can you do to practice mindfulness? How can you become present-minded so you can become calm in that situation? And a big part of it is sometimes breathing exercises, closing your eyes, focusing on your breath. Sometimes it's listening meditations and just listening and hearing what sounds around you. Sometimes it's just feeling grounded. It's recognizing the ground underneath you, feeling, the strength in your arms, or feeling the clothes on your body, or feeling your feet as you walk against the ground. Be very, very mindful of whatever you're experiencing in that moment, because it's going to allow you to kind of come back to the present. And when you come back to the present, it's easier to move forward because your body's going to be in a calmer state of being. All right, so I want to jump in and see what some more of you guys are saying here. Jamie Kennedy says, thank you, Josh. You have no idea how much you've helped me when it comes to depression and nervousness, and I've been watching you for a long time, so thank you so much. No problem, Jamie. I'm happy that I could be helpful in some way. I hope these tips can kind of help you walk through different ways to process what you're feeling. Atlanta Boy says, I got him again, so don't worry. I could play this game all day. I'm assuming someone keeps... I'm assuming Mega F Boy is the creeper that keeps coming in. I don't know why. Anyway, Hugo says, have a presentation tomorrow in school. Kind of nervous. Any tips? Hugo, that's a great question. Here's my tips on presentations. Something that took me a while to kind of process, but this is what I did. Whenever I had to give a presentation, first thing I would do is I'd look up a presenter that I highly admired. So I remember I was in college and I had to give a big presentation to my college class. And I was nervous about it. I was like, how am I going to do this? Well, at the time, this was around 2000, I don't even know. It was around the time when Steve Jobs was still giving presentations for Apple, right? Like in that time span. And I remember I watched like a Steve Jobs like keynote or something on YouTube at the time. And I watched how he walked. I watched how he talked. I watched how he like built up things, how he like led to an exciting moment. I was like, I really admire his presentation style. I'm just going to pretend like I'm Steve Jobs when I'm presenting. So the next day when I had to present in front of my class, I just thought in my mind, all right, I'm Steve Jobs presenting. It's not me, Josh. It's Steve Jobs. And I just walked the same way as him. I made the same type of jokes. I kind of presented in that way. I embodied Steve Jobs. It's what I call the parrot trick. I parroted Steve Jobs. And by doing that, it allowed me to kind of step outside of myself and not be as nervous, because I wasn't thinking about, oh my God, what's everyone thinking about me? Instead, I was thinking, how can I be like Steve Jobs here? Oh, Steve Jobs would probably do this, and let me do that. So I was able to change my mindset by just changing what I was focusing on. I think that that's something you can do. There are lots and lots of awesome presenters there. I would say just go on YouTube and think about someone you highly admire or you look up to, and look up a presentation they've done, look up a speech that they've given, and see how they talk, see how they laugh, how they present, how they carry themselves. That's definitely going to help you kind of work through that nervousness, and it kind of gives you something to think about rather than to focus on the negativity that's going to come from people, judging you or something like that. All right, see what some more of you guys are saying here before I get into the third point. Breezy says, I think that's creeper because every live stream he does that with only 1 or 2 accounts. He's probably bothering innocent kids. Yeah, I don't know why he does it. I really don't get it. Aesthetic says, for anyone nervous about asking your crush out, just do it. It took me 3 months to ask out my crush, and when I did, just simply, hey, can I get your number? And I think you're really pretty. It worked. Yeah, Aesthetic, I think you're hitting the nail on the head there. A lot of times we overthink these situations, especially if you're someone that feels, social anxiety around your crush. It may just be a matter of you overthinking that situation. Sometimes just being strong and confident and saying, I think you're really cute. Let me get your number. Might be all you need. So sometimes you might want to be bold and brazen and take that approach, and it could work. Let's see. Noah says, I tried waving at her once. She didn't wave back. Should I try again, but this time say hi? Absolutely, Noah. If you waved the first time and she didn't wave back, it's possible she didn't see or she didn't acknowledge, or she felt uncomfortable or weird in the situation. There's a million reasons why she probably didn't wave back. You don't really know. But I think ultimately what you could try doing is this. It's that, if you tried communicating and it didn't work out, try communicating in a different way. Like you said, this time say hi to her. That might be effective as opposed to last time, which was just a wave. Sam Leach says, meditation has done wonders for my anxiety. I've been going to more Buddhist centers recently and is one of the best environments to be in. Absolutely, Sam. I went to a Buddhist monastery once, and it was just amazing. Such an amazing experience. You feel the energy and the presence in the room. People there just calmer, more present-minded. Just there's an ease of being in that experience, and it's just a lot of fun. Emmanuel says to Hugo, take a deep breath and relax. It's normal to be nervous. Everyone gets nervous. Absolutely. Hugo, we all get nervous presenting. I don't think there's anyone that goes up and stands in front of the crowd and looks all these people in the eyes and is like, yeah, that's easy. There's always a hint of nervousness there because you are afraid. What if I mess up? What if I say something weird? That's always underlying. So it's okay to talk about the fact that you're nervous. And I think that's a good thing you're talking about it because it allows you now to kind of tackle and figure out a solution forward. I'm going to answer a few more questions before I get into the third point here. Rage Master says, Steve Jobs, the college dropout. Yep, Steve Jobs, the college dropout. That's the person I was referring to. Emma Peterson says, I had to do a speech for the Dare to Dream program. Yeah, I mean, I think we've all had to give speeches at one point in our lives, and everyone's been nervous doing it. It's a scary thing to do. It's a scary thing to do. Let's see. Crystal says, I'm lesbian and proud. Awesome, Crystal. I'm proud that you feel comfortable being yourself, and I'm happy that you're here, part of our community. I love having people that love to share things about themselves, whether it's being lesbian, being gay, being, a video gamer, being anything you feel proud to share about yourself. I want you guys to share it. This is the place to share it. Anything you want to talk about. All right. You know what, Anthony? I forgot to bring a cup of water. So I do not have the water facts set up for this time. Maybe next time I'll have the water facts. Okay, I want to answer one more question. Let's see. Danelli Lopez says, I have a question, Josh. Is any tips, or if any tips, what does it mean to put my leg on my friend to lay? What does it mean if I have a crush on him? Why am I nervous around her? So Danelli, I think what you may be trying to say is that, you put your leg against your crush and that physical kind of contact, maybe you thought like, what does it mean? Or maybe she put her leg against yours. Either way, someone's leg was somewhere, and it was near someone. So I think in that situation, you might be thinking, well, what does that mean? Are they just being comfortable and calm around me? Are they just doing it to be friendly? It's hard to read into those situations and to figure out exactly what that is, right? Because it might just be them being friendly. It might just be them kind of relaxing and just kind of like hanging out and being calm around you. So I think if you want to try to dig a little deeper, the best thing to do is to ask them out, right? Say, hey, you're a lot of fun to hang out with. Like, let's hang out sometime, you and me one-on-one. Because if you could spend that one-on-one time with them, it's going to be easier for you then to kind of see, okay, they committed to spending time with me one-on-one, and now we can kind of work towards doing something. So I would take that chance. Okay, so I want to jump into the third point here, and that is this, guys. When we talk about dealing with social anxiety, this is something that doesn't usually get talked about a lot, so I'm mentioning it here. Let go of the post-conversation negative thoughts. Now, I know I'm not the only one that experiences this, guys. You run into a situation where you try to talk to someone, you try to make a conversation, even if it's with your crush or something like that. And after you do, you beat yourself up and you say, man, I messed that up. Man, I shouldn't have said that. Oh man, I should have said it like this. Oh man, why did I do that? Or why did I act that way? You beat yourself up because you feel like you didn't act perfect in that moment. I've been through that so many times. It's such a normal human thing to go through, but I want to jump in and ask you guys this. We'll do a chat poll question here. I want to ask you guys, have you ever beat yourself up and felt like you messed up in a conversation, and whether it's an hour after, a day after, a month after, you kept going back to that negative thought and saying, man, I screwed that up. Man, I shouldn't have done that. Man, I should have done that differently. Have you ever beat yourself up after a situation and just couldn't get over the fact that you maybe didn't handle it the way you wanted to? If yes or no, guys, write that in the chat here. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And like I said, if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up on this video if you're enjoying it, if you are finding this advice helpful. But yeah, so guys, I mean, I've done that so many times where I run into a situation where, I kind of say something silly or I forget to say something that I wanted to say. And then afterwards, I'm just telling myself, I totally messed that up, or, should I handle that better? Sometimes we're just too hard on ourselves. We beat ourselves up too much. Like, we become our own worst critic because we feel like we should have handled things perfectly. We should have known exactly what to say and exactly what to do. But the truth is, that's not going to happen all the time. So I asked you guys, have you ever beaten yourself up afterwards and kind of, just been overrun with post-conversation negative thoughts? And here's what you guys had to say. Jonathan says, I eat cheese. Walt says sometimes. Yancey says yes. Christian says yes. Miss Danny Tiger says all the time. Walt says not always. Cheesy Boy says yeah, all the time. I always remember my conversations and cringe. Emma says all the time. Breezy says, Crystal, shut up. Why is don't tell Crystal to shut up. That's not nice. Jamie Kennedy says yes, and I want to improve. Nigel says yes. Yolo says yes. Emmanuel says no. And Linda says, Crystal, I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. We don't care. I care. If it's something important to Crystal, then let Crystal share it. What would be the issue with someone sharing something that's important to them? Why should someone else's happiness in sharing something ever bother you? Think about that for a second. If someone else sharing something that they're happy about is bothering you, is the problem with them sharing it, or is the problem with you being able to hear and see someone else that's happy? Think about that. But guys, overall, calm down. No need to attack each other. Anyway, so like I said, so it seems like a lot of you guys have dealt with that. You have dealt with this kind of post-conversation negative thoughts where you beat yourself up. So I think the way to kind of deal with your social anxiety is this, because it ends up becoming a never-ending loop where you run into a situation, you mess up, or you don't say something, or you do say something stupid, and afterwards you beat yourself up. And then the next time you're in a situation where you're going to converse with someone, you go back to that previous failed situation. You say, well, if I messed up the first time, I'm definitely going to mess up the second time. And it becomes a never-ending loop of you never believing in yourself, always thinking you're going to fail, always thinking you're never going to get it right. I think that's a big challenge a lot of people run into. And the way to break that cycle is to tell yourself, hey, listen, last time I didn't handle it the way I wanted to. Maybe I didn't say something. Maybe I did say something silly, but I'm human. It's okay. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect, and I don't need to be perfect. Guys, you need to let yourself know that. You don't need to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't always have to know what to say. And you don't always have to say the right thing. There are times where you're going to mess up conversations. Think about just talking to your friends. How often do you kind of just space out or you stumble over your words? Like, it's a normal thing that happens. And there's just a lot more added pressure when you're talking to your crush. So it's bound to happen more. So instead of beating yourself up, just really tell yourself, I'm human, I make mistakes, and it's okay. Look, guys, if social anxiety is breaking you down and preventing you from kind of going after what you want and starting conversations with people that you want, the only way you're going to manage it is first by acknowledging it, acknowledging this is something I'm struggling with, and then looking to see what are the small steps I can take to start to have control in those situations. And I'm going to kind of go through my final points there towards the end, but I want to jump in and see what some of you guys are saying here. Noah says, when you go on the Instagram after party, can I hop on when you bring the OGs, please? I've been trying to hop on for months. Just bring me on whenever you can. Yeah, Noah, message me in the chat there and I'll try to bring you on, man. I'll try to get as many people as I can on. Walt says, that I relate to, but I don't see it as messing up. Sometimes we should live in the moment and not second guess what we should just try to say it the next time. Absolutely. If we're constantly second guessing ourselves, then I think that we're always going to default to the negative. We're always going to jump to the worst possible thing. Oh, your mind isn't going to jump to, I did everything right, or, hey, I did something right. Your mind's going to jump to, what did I do wrong? And that's the cycle we want to break. Let's see, I'm just reading through here. Crystal says, what if you were gay and it's been in your chest for so long and you finally just let it out? Like, why yell at me? Exactly. You're exactly right, Crystal. It's like, if you're happy about who you are and it's something you want to share with the world, share it, right? Like I said, everyone else that's attacking you for sharing something that you're happy with, they have to reflect on themselves. It's not about you, it's about them, right? A lot of times we're afraid to speak out and share things, and this does play into social anxiety. We're afraid to express ourselves because we're afraid how other people are going to perceive us or how other people are going to judge us or what other people are going to say about what we have to say. But the truth of the matter is this. I'm going to not hide it from you guys. It's this one. The greatest gift you can give is your honest self. It's the best thing you can do to just be open and honest and real, right? We're afraid to do that because we think people are going to judge us. But the truth is, it's like, if people can't accept who you are honestly, then they're really not they're not someone worth getting to know. You want to surround yourself with people that care about you, people that support you, and people that want to see you grow. And if people don't want to be around who you honestly are, then they're not people you should be associating yourself with. Okay, I'm going to answer 2 more questions here, and then I'm going to jump into my final thoughts. We're going to do our meditation mindful moment here, guys. Yolo says, Josh, I have a problem. I always walk into a wall or a door. So if you find yourself always walking into a wall or a door, there's a lot of reasons why they might happen. If you want to elaborate on that, maybe it's a balance issue. Maybe you're trolling. I don't know. Either way, elaborate on it in the chat and I'll see if I can help you out. Okay. Walt says, I know how to talk to girls. Be yourself. Let her know your positive side. Be there for her. And someday he or she will see you for you. Her liking you will be 50-50. Exactly. It's 50-50. It's up to that person whether or not they like you, right? It's not up to you. You can only do so much before they have to decide for themselves, okay, I like this person. I'm going to keep pursuing them. Breezy says, I'm in an anxiety live stream when really I should be at an anger issue live stream and getting treatment. Breezy, I hear where you're coming from on that. I've done a few videos on how to deal with anger. I did actually a meditation video that you might want to check out on my channel. It's a 20-minute, I think it was like 20 minutes. It's a guided meditation where I kind of help you ease through those feelings of anger and how to deal with them. So you might definitely want to check that out. But I wasn't saying any of this to kind of attack anyone. I'm not trying to say like, crystal good, everyone bad. I'm just simply saying, guys, that if someone sharing something about themselves bothers you or hurts you or offends you, it's important to reflect and to say, what is it about someone else talking about something that they like that really gets under my skin? Is it a fear that you disagree with them and you don't want to see it? Is it hard for you to manage seeing other people's opinions? That's something to really reflect on and think about. Jonathan says, not really. Actually, I just want to bang Josh. Do you play Roblox? I don't play Roblox, Jonathan. I don't know if that hurts my chances with you, but I think he's just trolling. All right, he's just trolling. Okay, let's answer one more question, guys, here. I'm curious, guys. I really want to know, if you haven't already hit the thumbs up on this video, hit the like button. But one more final question. Anyone has anything that they want to ask about social anxiety that they're dealing with? If you have relationship questions, and I haven't got to answer it here, if you guys want to talk to me instead, I'll put the screen up. If you want to talk to me one-on-one, the best way to do that is through Patreon. I know Azim is in here. Azim, good to see you, man. And Azim is someone who's a patron of mine, but if any of you guys are interested in kind of chatting one-on-one, you have something on your mind that you want to talk about, Patreon is the best way to kind of go forward and do that. We can talk one-on-one every single month, whether through Skype or Google Hangouts or whatever you're comfortable with. Or you can click the join button down below that's right next to the subscribe button. And if you join and become a YouTube channel member, you get access to these emojis right over here. No, this one. Keep forgetting which direction. These emojis right over here. So you can post those like Donna was posting before. It's really cool. It's awesome. And you get a cool little badge right next to your name as well. Okay, guys. Let's answer one more question on... Okay, Miss Danny Tiger says, hey Josh, it's been a while. 2019 was the worst year I ever had. Lots of deaths happened back to back, and I felt my grades suffered a bit. Even if I got a B+, B+, C, B, college, in college, my anxiety sucks. Miss Danny Tiger, I'm so sorry to hear that. Sometimes, when there's a lot of kind of sad and harmful and hurtful things going on around us, it can really affect our mindset and our behavior. And I think that if you're surrounded by kind of negativity and things that are happening that are out of your control, the best thing to do is to find someone that you can surround yourself with, that you can turn to for advice, that you can share your feelings with, that you can talk about. Miss Danny Ticker, I would highly recommend joining our Discord, because we have a great community there that'll hear you out and will talk to you about things. And when you're struggling with something, they're there to talk. And I think it's a good way to kind of move forward, guys. So I want to give you my final thoughts here. Walk you through the 3 points again. So when we talk about getting over and overcoming and lowering your anxiety, your social anxiety, slowly start to introduce yourself to uncertain situations. That means kind of testing the waters and seeing what you're comfortable with, asking yourself, well, what's the worst possible thing that can happen, and what's realistically going to happen? The moment you can kind of put that in perspective and say, okay, well, maybe the worst possible thing is like my crush slaps me in the face, but the realistic thing is that my crush maybe kind of feels awkward and walks away. Okay. Maybe I can work through that situation. Maybe it's realistic for me to kind of just say hi to them. Think about the small steps that you can take to start to be a little bit more comfortable in those uncertain situations. The next thing is this. When you feel like your social anxiety is causing you to freeze up, get nervous, get inside your head, overthink things, practice mindfulness. Return back to the breath. That means closing your eyes, breathing, allowing yourself to become calm, because when you're in that calm state of mind, you'll make better decisions. You'll approach situations with a clearer head. You're not going to be so worried and nervous around, people and thinking about what they're talking about, what they're thinking about. Instead, you're going to be in the present moment. When you're in the present moment, you can act clear, and you'll make a much better choice with your actions. And the third point here is to let go of post-conversation negative thoughts. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in our own negative mindset. We start to beat ourselves up saying, I messed that conversation up. Oh, I missed that opportunity. Oh, I didn't handle that right. You have to recognize you're human. You make mistakes. It happens. Life is all about learning and growing. So when you do make a mistake and you do something that you feel like you didn't handle the situation as best as you could, go back to the drawing board and say, you know what? What can I do differently next time? Maybe next time I'm going to try talking about this topic instead of that topic. Maybe next time I'm going to say hi instead of just waving. Reevaluate and revisit the things that you're going through, because that's going to be the way that you're going to work through and lower your social anxiety. Okay, guys, it is now time for a mindful moment. We're going to dedicate this mindful moment to Kobe Bryant, as we were supposed to do at 5:24 p.m. We're going to dedicate this moment to Kobe Bryant, and we're going to dedicate this moment to being your honest self. because I see a lot of comments in here about people being upset with people sharing their honest selves. And I think that the only way you're going to work through your social anxiety, you're going to work through your nervousness, is being comfortable with who you are. That's a big key step, guys. So once I hit the bell, I want us to all close our eyes. I want us to think about what we can do going forward to be more comfortable in our own skin. Everyone, think about that here. Think about what it takes to be comfortable in your own skin. And we will hear the sound of the bell together. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this live stream. I love being here and sharing things with you guys. I love talking to you guys in the chat. I hope next time we can be a little bit more kinder and a little bit more understanding. But that's bound to happen, right? People disagree and people challenge each other. And it's important to be comfortable with who we are and to talk about who we are and to not back down simply because other people disagree with us. That's what's going to help you. That's what's going to help you really work through dealing with that social anxiety and overcoming it. Thank you guys so much for being part of this live stream. And what I want you to do now is to check out the video listed over there. Check out the video listed over there. I talk a little bit more about social anxiety, how to deal with it, and how to overcome those awkward moments that you run into. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this live stream, and I will catch you guys next time. See, everyone makes mistakes. Love and peace. See you guys next time.